It's starting to get ready to rain here now. I mean, you're starting to hear a little bit of thunder, but this is not the line. We're watching this line way back here in Missouri that is picking up quite a bit of speed as the wind presses it through our region. Let's give you another look at this as well. They've decided to blanket warn this southern half of the line while continuing with this tornado warning for Dunklin County. This is until 7:45 this morning for Fulton, Mississippi, Madrid, and Stoddard counties. And again, another tornado possible tag is being shown with this. And I'll step off screen real quick to get you the speed for this southern half. Now, remember, the northern half up toward Poplar Bluff, now moving towards Sykeston and Caro, is moving at 80 miles per hour. In fact, we're starting to get a little bit of rain at the station now. So in Paducah, if you're seeing a little bit of rain, that's the first of the, that's just some light rain before we get the heavy rain from the line. This southern warning is for the severe thunderstorms located along the line extending from Malden to Marmaduke, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour, and quarter-sized hail being the main threat for this storm. So we'll track this off to the east for you real quick at 35 miles per hour. So the southern portion of this storm is not moving nearly as fast as this central portion is bowing out. So let's get you this warning here for the bottom half of this storm, moving east-southeast at 35 miles per hour. Okay, yeah, the track's being a little bit wonky with me here, but this is going to track all the way into the Bootheel, Missouri here, I-55 within the next hour. You need to be prepared there as well. And there could be tornado warnings that come out ahead of this line, so you need to be prepared as well to take shelter if you need to. Okay, so let's go ahead and try again and give you another track on this storm as it moves off to the southeast at 35 miles per hour. Again, those tornado warnings still in effect for parts of the area until 7:15 and 7:30 this morning. These will be moving off to the east. Well, I can't get the track to work for you, but we are looking at the velocity data here. Let's get to the velocity data and show you the rotation potentially with the tornado warning in Missouri near Dexter. So you can see that pocket of blue still showing up where we could have some very high winds. That's the winds over 60 miles per hour showing up on the radar here. We'll zoom into that area. Also, let's include this northern warning that is east of Wapapella heading toward Advance. It's a little bit of a broad rotation, but you can still see a few of the reds coming in and meeting up with the greens and blues. Also, there's a small area picking up to the west of Bloomfield and just west of Dexter. That's also moving toward Bloomfield. Dexter, you're a little bit too close to this one and is closely paralleling Highway 60 as it heads toward the Mississippi River this morning. Southern side of the storm, winds a few thousand feet up are showing over that 70 mile per hour mark, and a new update has just come in. You can see that pocket of damaging winds showing up, splitting Bloomfield and Dexter. And this purple you're seeing is called range folding. So the radar beam will pick up at a certain length and it'll start to fold back in on itself here. That's when we'll start to see this purple ring. It'll briefly obscure any readings that we could potentially have for velocities, but you can see that red and blue still beating up very well, very noticeably here to the west of Bell City and southwest of Advance. Let's give you another closer look at this real quick, just to show you how small these areas are. It's on the southeast area of the warning area now, heading out toward Bell City, so it has moved south a little bit from its previous track. But on the south side of this, you could see winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's just north of Bloomfield on Missouri 25, heading toward Bell City and Van Duzer. That's also heading toward Missouri Highway 91 and Oran within the next 15 to 20 minutes. Let's move this camera back down to the south and give you another look at the Bloomfield storm here. And that's where we are seeing the highest winds of any of these storms so far. Notice these deep shades of blue near Dexter and Bloomfield. Again, we're looking at a few thousand feet up, but there could be winds mixing down to the surface up to 60 miles per hour outside of this tornado warning. But again, if you live in any of these areas with a tornado warning, take shelter immediately because these storms are the ones that are going to be moving quite fast today given the environment that they're in. There's a lot of unstable air coming in later, and we've not warmed up yet. In fact, we're still in the 60s and 70s right now. We'll be in the mid to upper 80s for this afternoon. Let's give you another look here. Not much of anything showing up with our southernmost tornado warning heading into Dunklin County. But we still have to watch this one very carefully heading out of the warning area now for the Wapapella Lake storm. That's heading toward advancing Bell City. So let's give you the closer look on that storm as well. I think we'll start to see that bottom warning down toward Dunklin County. I think we'll start to see that one allowed to expire and continue with the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag. Let's give you another look real quick on these storms down into Dexter, heading toward Bell City and advance. Again, those pockets of 60-plus mile-per-hour winds, and a flash flood warning has just now come out for these areas as well. That's going to be another concern for today. We have a flood watch in effect for a lot of the region, and that could potentially pose a risk for saturated ground with these damaging winds. Trees could be uprooted. They could be coming down on power lines. So there's the potential for some power outages as well, given the saturated soil and the heavy winds coming through. So this is now moving out of the warning area. Bell City, you're next up in this, and here's another stout feature of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Let's give you another zoom in on this as it heads toward Bell City here. So Bell City, you're not in the warning. However, the rotation is still showing up near Missouri 25, albeit it is not very strong. However, it is still present. Bell City, even though you're not in the warning, you need to be taking shelter as well because this could also, at any time, this could touch down. It may have touched down between the radar cycles. So even though you're just between these two tornado warnings, you need to be taking shelter in Bell City immediately because of the higher winds. Even if you don't see a tornado, there's going to be some 60-plus mile-per-hour winds moving into town very shortly. This will next parallel Missouri Highway 91. It's crossing over Missouri 25 as we speak, and it will be moving just to the north of Toppertown, and we'll give you another closer look at some of the towns ahead of this. Van Duzer, you're ahead of the line. Leora, you're getting slammed with quite a few winds right now. Morley, Toppertown again, you're just on the edge of this one, and you have that tornado warning for the southern storm as well near Dexter. Also looking out ahead of this, it's going to be quite a lot of rural areas that get hit with this over the coming hour or so, and we are still watching for any potential rotation moving in to the southern warning. Looks like there's still some high winds moving into Bloomfield. We'll have not much in the way of rotation showing up on radar, and we'll have to watch that over the next few tracks as well. Let's give you a track on the potential for debris here, just to keep our heads on a swivel and show you where that rotation could be. And no dropout for us here, no debris dropout showing up, so there's nothing down on the last radar scan. But again, take shelter until this passes you, and about 15 to 20 minutes after the heaviest rain subsides, that's when we should have a small break for a little while before we get another round of storms later on in the morning. So let's give you the quick reset on this real quick for you, and we will switch this back to radar data. Lots of active weather across southeast Missouri this morning as that moves into our area. Some showers down near the Mississippi River and into parts of Kentucky. But we are looking at that bow echo, and notice how it's already really starting to push outward here. This is a sign that damaging winds are going to become the main threat with this line, aside from the tornado warnings moving through. 7:12 in the morning, we are tracking some strong storms moving across the region this morning. In case you're just joining us for the Today Show, we are tracking some tornado warnings that are moving across the area, and they will expire first. Our northernmost warning, lots of rain showing up. I can't see the warning outlines too well on here, but we'll show you each one of these here for the tornado warnings. First one expires in 2 minutes for Bollinger, Stoddard, and Wayne County. Unsure if they will be extending that or if they will continue with a severe thunderstorm warning. Hail, not much of a concern with this storm, and we also have another tornado warning down near Dunklin County that's not showing much in the signs of rotation, but that expires at 7:30 this morning as it makes its way toward our region as well. So I'll give you the information on that severe thunderstorm warning if it will pop up for us. And there it is, tornado warning for Dunklin County till 7:30 this morning, and that again for quarter-inch hail aside from the tornado concern. Trent, you got new information?
Yeah, just a couple of things, Nolan. First of all, this entire line of storms moving very quickly, 70 to 80 miles per hour, so time that out. You know, folks that are out at the lakes or the campgrounds, this ain't going to be rolling into that area likely in about an hour or so. So we're talking about between 8 and 8:30 with this holiday weekend. I know we've got a lot of folks that are out there trying to enjoy some time outdoors. If we have folks that are out at those campgrounds, if you know anyone that's out there, give them a call, give them a heads up that we've got some nasty storms that are going to be rolling in here in probably about an hour or maybe slightly longer than that. And then also, you mentioned the threat for heavy rain is another concern. We've got a flash flood warning for parts of southeast Missouri, Baltimore, Butler, Stoddard, and Wayne County till 1:15. Yeah, that storm track you see here coming into Paducah about 8:05. That's at about 70 miles per hour. If this thing speeds up, and sometimes when we have these bowing segments of storms, they can start to move a little faster, and the wind threat probably reaching the lakes by 8:30 at the latest. So if you know anyone that's out there at the campgrounds, we've been pushing this message through the weekend, but please give them a heads up and let them know that they need to be taking shelter. Camper probably not the best place to be as these storms roll in to that area here in just a little bit.
And also just give you an update on the current conditions with the lakes. There's a lot of rain just to the west of there, so you might want to bring the boats in soon if you haven't already. There's also some thunder at the station, and that's with some of the lighter thunderstorms moving into the region. So get those boats in if you're able to listen to us on an app or if you're hearing us live. Get those toward the marinas or shelter them pretty soon, because this is a line of storms you do not want to mess with in terms of the wind as it moves toward our region. So this is now moving toward Cairo, and the small line just ahead of it could pose some heavy rain, and we've already seen some flash flood warnings come out, and you can see this bow echo continuing on. And I want to make sure, have they allowed the tornado warning to expire near Dexter by chance?
Does not look like it just
that's the wrong
yet.
one. It's the, is that 7:30? Okay, they're both 7:30 now, it looks like. So it looks like that warning was kept up until 7:30 this morning. This is moving towards Sykeston on the edge of the line. And I want you to notice, it's on the line, but there's a lot of rain in front of it. So even if there was something, you're not going to be able to see it. And that's going to be the problem with a lot of these lines of storms today. You're not going to be able to see a lot of this coming here in terms of the rain shadow that's going to be put out from these. Also, the winds are going to be pretty high from it. Let's give you another look at the velocity data real quick, or the winds inside of the storm. That is where we could see the rotation of this, and nothing in particular being picked out. So the 7:15 tornado warning up toward Wapapella was allowed to expire, but this one continues until 7:30 to the south of Bloomfield. Look at these dark shades of blue showing up. That's where we could see 70-plus mile-per-hour winds coming closer to the ground, but not much in the way of the reds showing up now as much as there were earlier. We'll give you a quick check on the CCs, or the debris tracker, just to make sure nothing's being picked up here. And thank goodness there's actually nothing showing up in terms of a debris dropout from this storm. So it looks like we are seeing no touchdowns at the moment, nothing on the ground. That is a great sign to see this morning. But we do have to deal with those winds throughout the morning here. So if you got a morning commute, you might want to hold that off for a couple more hours if you got plans today. And also, keep your phone ringer on. I know a lot of us tend to keep it on vibrate because we don't like to hear the ringtones going off, but this is a day where you definitely need to be alert and to make sure you know where to go just in case these storms do produce a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. with any of these tags like tornado possible or considerable tag. Heading into the eastern part of the region now, we do have another, looks like another severe thunderstorm warning that came up in parts of southeast Missouri. I want to check that over real quick in case that's not the severe warning from earlier. Okay, it is. 745, considerable tag with wind speeds up to 70 miles per hour, so the tag was upgraded to considerable for the damage threat of the wind. Hail, not much of a concern with this line. That hail concern along with the tornado concern comes much later on in the afternoon when we warm up into the mid and upper 80s. And it's going to be a noticeable warm up as well. It's going to be mild this morning, and then we'll have what's called an elevated mixed layer come in. Stout layer of warm air pushing in, and it will take away any cap that we may have built up from this line of storms. So again, we'll have to watch the radar later on this afternoon. So again, still a pretty stout line moving through Missouri right now. And that tornado possible tag severe thunderstorm warning continues on for the Boot Heel of Missouri. And the tornado warning for Kennett was, tornado warning for Dunklin County, was canceled. So that has been taken off, and we are left with the one tornado warning up toward, that has been warned since Wacolacapello and Shook, and it is moving towards Sykeston here within the next few minutes. So we'll give you another zoom in on it real quick, just to show you exactly where this is going. But the rotation is not as impressive as it was earlier, where we saw a few of those red pixels lining up just west of town. And let's switch this back over to the velocity data real quick to show you the winds inside of the storm. Very strong winds, I might add, as well outside of this, even if you don't get, even if there isn't a tornado. Lots of these blues showing up, a couple specks of purple out of the warning area. That's where we have 70-plus mile-per-hour winds, a little bit off the surface. The radar beam's scanning up a couple thousand feet. So it's likely not 70 miles per hour at the surface, but it is going to be close for it. 60-mile-per-hour winds potentially heading into Sykeston toward Matthews, I-55, Missouri 80, and if it holds together, Dealstadt and Charleston, along with Anniston and East Prairie. So heading throughout the rest of the morning hours, we still have that line coming through. And it looks like the heaviest winds are about to move out of the tornado-warned area. And the warning would expire within about 10 minutes if it were to keep going. And it looks like now I don't see any signs of inflow notches or hooks on the edge of this line, which is a great thing in terms of getting rid of these tornado warnings. We want this to kind of line back out and not develop any hooks on the edge of the line. And the greatest chance for a brief spin up will be on the northern end of this line. You kind of see where it hooks back over to the left a little bit. That's where we could see some winds wrap back around on the northern end of this line. So parts of us in Illinois and Missouri will have to watch this northern end carefully. But I think this complex off to the east may interfere with it a little bit more, make it a little bit more unorganized, but there's still the potential to pack some very powerful winds inside of this line. And notice here, it goes from light immediately to heavy rain. Winds are going to be almost immediate down in the Boot Heel of Missouri.
Hey, Nolan.
Yes.
You may want to switch over and show the velocities and actually click on the wind speeds and show right now just to the in between Dexter and Sykeston. We've got some reports now, at least on radar. There are some gusts showing up at about 3,000 to 3,500 feet between 90 and 100 miles per hour. So if you click on info there, we've got, you can actually pop up the estimated wind speeds and query that in the blue.
And those blues are typically over 70 miles per hour. Moving to the south of Sykeston, 106 miles per hour showing up right there. Let's get one of these purples down near Canaloo. You're not in the warning area, but there's a huge spike of winds, 116. Again, this is a little bit off the surface. It's likely not 116 at the surface, but we're still seeing those 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And that brand new tornado warning that came out when we were zooming into those goes until 7:45 this morning. So Sykeston, Charleston, you're now under this, and it's heading toward the Kentucky-Illinois borders within the next hour as well. So let's give you the warning information and for the time on this warning. 7:45 this morning for Alexander, Mississippi, New Madrid, and Scott counties for hail size under 3/4 of an inch as well.
And we have had multiple reports now of trees down, power lines down, and the roof ripped off of a house near Dexter. So those destructive winds right now coming into the Sykeston, Matthews area, Blodgett, Dealstad, Charleston, Anniston, and East Prairie out ahead of that. Again, these are some very strong, possibly destructive level winds that are being associated with this storm. That's why really the tornado warning that was issued there for Sykeston up toward Charleston, even though we're not seeing classic rotation necessarily, we are seeing winds that are as destructive as a low-end tornado that's rolling in to this area. And it's not just for the tornado warned part of that as well. That entire line that stretches all the way down just to the west of I-55 right now from New Madrid down toward Wardell, that is producing widespread winds at least about 3,000 to 4,000 feet in the atmosphere of 60 to 70 and even 80 miles per hour. But it's that core of those destructive winds right now moving into Morehouse and Canaloo, Sykeston, Matthews, East Prairie, Bertrand, Charleston, Wyatt, and Anniston over the course of about the next 15 to 20 minutes. We need to treat this as if it is a tornado warning, or a tornado on the ground, rather, instead of just simply some typical, these are not typical severe thunderstorm winds that we're dealing with here.
All right, now put that track out. It's moving northeast at 70 miles per hour, so this storm is racing off to the northeast. It's going at interstate speeds. 7:27 at Sykeston, 2 minutes for you. If not, it's already there now. Caro at 7:48. La Center at 7:58, and a lot of rural communities and farmland out this way. And Metropolis at 8:11 and Paducah at 8:16 this morning when that moves through. So Paducah, you're in that track, potentially over 60, 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour winds, potentially on the edge of this line. And as Trent said, the winds are high enough to where it could potentially produce low-end tornado-like damage across parts of these areas. And we've had reports in Dexter already of some damage, and that's where we had those dark blues showing up earlier as well. So it appears now that these stronger winds showing up on the velocities are starting to have some ground truth to them, mixing down to the ground. So if you're in Sykeston, you need to be inside immediately because of these winds. There may not be a tornado down on the ground, but the winds are definitely very strong as it moves into the center of town here. Let's give you a much closer look in the center of Sykeston here as it moves toward I-55. If you know of anybody driving out this way as well, heading this way, tell them to pull over until these storms pass by, because these winds are enough to potentially flip over semis or even push cars off the road. A lot of these winds now moving into the south side of town, paralleling US 60 and Matthews. It looks like East Prairie, Anniston, Charleston, you're in the path of this as well, along with the convergence points of I-55 and 57. We'll give you another look at the wind speeds here, exactly pixel by pixel. We'll go with this one near US 60 here. That's where we could have wind speeds well over, in fact, it's showing up 102 miles per hour right there. We should be getting a new scan here very soon. Let's get this brightest pixel right to the west of Matthews. And that's, again, 110 mile per hour wind pixels showing up the purple. But this is going to be moving northeast toward, again, East Prairie. It's going to be moving toward Anniston, Charleston, and Sykeston. Now 7:27 from the track. It would be on you at this point. In fact, we have a new warning printing out. We'll go ahead and zoom this back out here to show you the wider picture of this storm. It's not just this storm. This just has the highest part of the winds. But looking through the rest of this system, lots of damaging winds potentially on it as well, potentially over 60 miles per hour. And it does look like we have is that a new tornado warning that just came out in the...
Yes, for New Madrid.
All right, so let's go ahead and pop that warning up on screen here for you real quick to get you the latest information on that warning as it moves into the area. And again, the severe thunderstorm warning looks like it's been extended. I think that may be the same one as well. Again, they're putting a lot of blanket warnings on these storms given the linear nature of these. This is for New Madrid County, Portageville. You're in that until 7:45 a.m. And Trent, do you have a track on that by chance in terms of the speed?
Yeah, dude, it's moving east at 70 miles per hour.
Okay, so it's moving just about as fast as this entire line now. This bottom section of this line was moving at about 30 miles per hour earlier, so it is now caught up to the rest of this line. And we'll have to move this way far to the west to get you a really good track on this because of just how fast it's moving. We'll track this off to the northeast at 70 miles per hour here. So the good news is this is moving very quickly. It'll be out of the area rather quickly. We'll track this from the hail core right here. Again, moving east-northeast at 70 miles per hour, and it looks like they've extended that tornado warning into parts of Missouri, into parts of Tennessee now. And that is, again, Portageville, 2 minutes from now. 8:02 Union City. Clinton at 8:07, Wingo 8:29, and Mayfield, you're right in the path of this, at 8:25 this morning from a storm on the southern edge of a squall line that's moving through. And we'll go ahead and give you the velocity data on this as well, just to make sure we don't have any rotation on this as it comes into parts of southeast Missouri.
Don't really see any strong rotation, but there is one thing to note on that storm there from coming into New Madrid, Marston, Portageville. There is a pretty significant hail signature showing up on radar right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we have possibly some at least quarter to possibly golf ball size hail associated with that as well.
All right, let's give you a closer look on that storm as well. We'll switch this back over to the radar data and show you exactly where that hail core is showing up. Right over Portageville, you can see a few of these specks of pink showing up. Is that the same storm you were talking about, Trent?
Yeah.
All right, so near Portageville. Let's go ahead and get the hail track on here. It's going to show up a little bit behind in terms of the hail that was being seen in this storm to give you the idea of just how big some of this could be. Looks like it's not showing up on here. But have we got like a definitive size on the hailstones that were reported as well?
No, I haven't had a report or anything. Just kind of looking at data behind the scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if we had at least quarter size hail. But there's some pretty significant elevated reflectivity. So if we had quarter to golf ball, I wouldn't really be shocked about that.
And again, that's going to be another theme for today as well. We have a very wide open and tall atmosphere, so these storms will be allowed to build very high later on today, and that will present the chance for some more large hail, some of which could be larger than quarter size at times. So again, if you got cars outside, either bring them into a carport. If you got soft objects to perhaps cover your windshields or fragile areas, keep them there and tie them down or weigh them down. That way you reduce the chance of your car being damaged. We'll give you a second look at the extended part of this tornado warning into parts of Tennessee now. And that will continue on until 8:15 for Lake, Obion, and Pemiscot counties this morning. Again, up to quarter size hail, and the hail signature is showing up near Portageville. And wow, it is starting to pick up a little bit more near Missouri 162. Let's give you another look at the velocities real quick, just to give you the idea of the wind speeds really from this storm. As it moves to the northeast, again, no strong rotation to point out on radar. Wardell, maybe a little bit of a weakening of the winds here. Maybe brief rotation was possible here, but that has since weakened and went away. But we are still looking at that hail threat from this storm. It winds over 60 miles per hour, potentially over 70 miles per hour at times as well. And we'll give you another look at the radar. Still a really defined hail core near here, Missouri 162 north of Portageville to I-55. And we'll swing back to the north real quick on the storm that's moving through Sykeston. That's where we have our winds potentially well over 60 to 70 miles per hour. And again, that is moving through at 70 miles per hour. So this is a very fast-moving line off to the northeast, and we'll give you that look closer toward Cairo here. But again, a lot of shower activity in parts of Kentucky this morning. Nothing severe at the moment. However, the line is going to catch up to this unorganized complex of storms, and we will be seeing some of these conditions later on in the morning hours. So let's move this back up toward Charleston now. As you can see, the line is starting to really bow out here near Dealstadt, Charleston, Wyatt. You're also in the path of this near the I-57 and US 60. Missouri Highway 105 is in this as well. Anniston, you're on the south side of these storms. And let's put this back over to the velocities for the winds. Earlier we had a lot of these dark blues showing up, and they still are showing up, albeit not as many as there were earlier. Still a dark speck of blue showing up northeast of Sykeston. That's where we've seen those 100-mile-per-hour winds a few thousand feet into the atmosphere. That purple pixel, actually, again, that's a tornado warning until 7:45. But we'll give you the wind speeds on this again real quick. We've had wind speed reporting well over 60 to 70 miles per hour. Damage reports coming out of Dexter. And again, those 100-mile-per-hour velocities showing up right on the edge here. And going toward there again, 107. And let's look into downtown Sykeston on the edge of this line. 78-mile-per-hour winds, even on the outer edge of the storm as well. Charleston and Dealstadt, it's calmer there right now except for the rain. It's going to pick up very quickly, and these winds are going to pick up very quickly as well. You may notice they're probably going to be sudden, so if you got anything outside, bring it in immediately or make sure it is tied down outside. Let's give you a zoom out of the radar real quick, and we'll give you another reset for our region, and we'll switch this back to the radar data. A lot of activity in the southeast part of Missouri this morning, making its way into Kentucky. Lots of showers in Illinois from Mount Vernon down to Carbondale. Then we get to the bow echo that's moving through the region. Behind this, it's a little bit better out there. In fact, it looks like we have a change up in the severe thunderstorm warning here. So they are starting to get trimmed a little bit as they move across Missouri. We still have a flash flood warning that went into effect during the severe warnings in parts of Missouri. And we'll give you a quick update on that real quick for you. That runs until 1:15 this afternoon for Bollinger, Butler, Stoddard, and Wayne counties. It's for observed flash flooding, and that is, again, going to be a threat today, especially with these repeated rounds of storms over the same area. This could also move into a couple inches of rainfall, and some of the higher end totals could be upwards of about 4 or 5 inches later on today, according to some model runs. We'll give you, let's zoom back into this line of storms that have been going for about the past hour now across Missouri, moving into Kentucky very shortly. In fact, it's right near Cairo as we speak. And Cairo over to Mounds, Mound City, Thebes, you're probably going to be seeing some winds there. Also, down into Kentucky near Great River Road, you're going to be seeing those storms as well make their way in. It's heavy rain there right now in parts of Kentucky, but believe me, the main line is coming on the heels of those showers and storms. It's also going to shove them out of the way. Essentially, it's going to pretty much rush these storms. We'll put this in loop for you real quick just to show you the direction where these are going. Notice they're moving off to the east, and these storms out in front of it are kind of moving to the north. This squall line is going to be pushing these a little bit more to the north, and we'll see a little bit more stable air coming in behind this. So there's going to be a little bit of stability for a couple hours after this line, and then we'll start to see things warm back up and get a little bit more humid again as well. Over in Kentucky now, US 45, we're starting to see a little bit more of that heavier rain, including a small line from Clinton up toward Barlow, Kevel, and Wickliffe, moving east toward McCracken County. So you may see a bit of lightning ahead of this as well. But again, this first part is not severe. It is this part back here that could contain some of those damaging winds. Trent, you got more for us?
Yeah, we'll switch off here, and I'll let you catch a break here for just a second, Nolan. We've got multiple things going on. If you want to take a break and kind of check on social media, keep track of what's going on out there. Just kind of give you a reset here across the region. We are monitoring multiple severe thunderstorms and tornadoes here, and checking out some information behind the scenes, just looking at air over toward Dealstadt, Charleston, Anniston, East Prairie. in southeast Missouri. Those are areas where we're seeing the core of those strongest winds come in. And even though we have the tornado warning there for the Dealstad and Charleston area, we actually are seeing some of the strongest winds just south of that severe thunderstorm, or that tornado warning. And as we switch back over to our winds, our velocities, you can see this pocket of blues showing up here, moving into western sections of Mississippi County. That is where we're looking at possibly upwards of at least 70-mile-per-hour winds moving in, and we've had multiple reports now we had very high winds reported from Sykeston a few minutes ago, reports of some damage, trees down, power lines down around the Dexter area, and we have currently estimated wind speeds showing up here as we click this area of blue that's just coming into East Prairie, 100 miles per hour. Now, that is not the official reading of the winds at the surface. That is what the radar is picking up at about 2,000 feet above the ground. But when you've got all of that rain that's pouring down, it takes that strong wind that's aloft and drags the momentum down to the surface. So it is certainly possible that within this area of blue, this bow echo, you see this backwards C shape from East Prairie to Charleston, we could certainly see winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour, and that is moving to the east over into Ballard, Carlisle, Hickman, and Fulton counties in western Kentucky. So counties here, Nolan just mentioned Great River Road, US 51. Prepare now. Within the next 15 to 20 minutes, these storms are going to bring possibly some destructive winds into that area. Let's put a track on this and let you know what to expect as far as the timing for this as it moves into western Kentucky. And again, we have multiple tornado warnings here. We'll get to those details in just a second. Let me put a quick track on this portion of the storm. These storms right now moving at about 70 miles per hour. So we'll track here kind of this bow echo, the most intense part of those winds as they get ready to move into western Kentucky. So again, about 70 miles per hour, and you notice now that within the next hour, these are going to be moving across western Kentucky and getting over into the lakes area. So Cairo, 7:56 arrival time for you. Clinton at around 8:01, Paducah at about 8:14, Benton at 8:26, and Aurora at 8:37. So again, we've been talking about this now pretty much all weekend long, but if you know friends or family that are out at the lake, a lot of folks spending time at the campgrounds, staying in their boats, we don't need to be in those areas right now. If these winds of 70 plus miles per hour roll through that area, there will be trees down and there will be issues at those campgrounds. So folks there, if you know friends, family that are out there, give them a heads up and let them know that this is coming their way. They really need to take shelter in something that is more substantial than just their campers. Let's also go in here. We've got a new tornado warning as of fairly recently down in northwest Tennessee. Want to give you the information on that, as we've got portions of Lake and Obion County here under a tornado warning area here close to Tiptonville that's been showing some signs of rotation. Let me look at a couple things here behind the scenes. Right now, I don't see anything that's just real noteworthy as far as the rotation is concerned, but looks like we got new severe thunderstorm warnings that have just come out.
Looks like so, yeah. The printer's just updating from the other warnings.
Gotcha. We'll get you that information here in just a second. Kind of a blanket warning for western Kentucky. Down on this Tennessee storm, as we switch back over to regular radar, one of the things that's jumping out at me still is the potential for some hail here between New Madrid and down toward Tiptonville. A lot of red showing up here on the radar itself, but there is a signature of some possibly large hail around Marston and Portageville right now. That hail core up around Bessie and kind of extending, we'll move right along the Kentucky and Tennessee line. And as we watch the debris tracker, there's some indications that within this area, probably not looking at debris necessarily, but we're looking at something that's different than just plain old raindrops. I'll show you that here with our debris tracker scope. Let me widen this out just a little bit. And then what we can do here is, as we switch this over, you notice how here all these, the purple shading, that's where the particles on radar are the same. Back here toward Tiptonville and Caruthersville, notice it's kind of a yellow and green. That's where the radar is hinting that there's some different stuff. So it's probably taking in the potential for some hail showing up there. But this warning is a tornado warning. This storm moving off to the northeast at about 60. What was the last speed on that southern flank of the storm? Was it about 65?
On the southern flank for the severe warning?
Yeah, down toward Tiptonville.
Let me get that data real quick. I'm just moving to it.
Most of these storms are moving at about 60 to 65 miles per hour.
Southeast at 60 for the severe warning.
Okay. So some of the arrival times here in northwest Tennessee. If you're down toward Obion and Greenfield, it looks like the worst of this may actually miss you guys to the north. But if you're in Hickman, 747, storms rolling in there. 801 for Union City. 818 for Martin. Palmersville at around 8:30 and Murray at around 8:35. So again, these storms are racing across our area. Very fast movement. That fast movement is, of course, a signature, an indication of the type of wind that we are working with here in our area today. And that's the reason why we have these thunderstorms possibly producing some pockets of destructive winds right now. But the tornado threat, we do have a tornado warning here around the Tiptonville area and over into parts of just to the north of Sandburg. There is a little weak rotation that's showing up right now north of Tiptonville, but it's not really, doesn't look like anything that's just real noticeable right now. So I want to get you the latest information here on our new severe thunderstorm warning, and it covers a large area of western Kentucky. And we'll actually have to zoom out to get all of that here on the camera for you, and I'll read off the list as well. So this goes into southern Illinois as well. Basically a blanket warning for us. Nolan, hold on just a second here. Let me zoom out just a little bit more. I might just have you turn the reflectivity off momentarily here so you can see all of the, yeah, there you go. So here is our new severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to pretty much take up the entire screen, so I'll pop this information on. It's till 8:30 this morning. So that is for 70 mile per hour wind speeds. There might be some small hail within this line, but this is a warning specifically for straight line damaging winds. Notice the tag here, considerable, and a tornado possible tag on that as well. And looks like we've got a new tornado warning that's been issued here for Ballard County. So again, the severe thunderstorm warning, Anna, Vienna, Metropolis, basically the southern tier of counties in southern Illinois, most of the purchase area of western Kentucky as well. Our new tornado warning for Ballard County, as we switch over to velocity data here and zoom in on the area that's going to be causing problems. What's the time frame on that warning, Nolan?
So that expires at 8:15, moving northeast at 70.
Okay. So new tornado warning here for Ballard County that'll include La Center and Wickliffe, Gage, back toward New York. Keble also included in that until 8:15. Radar indicated area of rotation that's here near the Wickliffe area. And this is again kind of associated with that pocket of possibly destructive winds. There is a little slight rotation that's in between Wickliffe and Wyatt in Missouri, right there close to the river. Looking at things from the National Weather Service, we've got widespread wind damage from these storms out in southeast Missouri. Emergency managers reporting multiple trees down around Portageville, the New Madrid area, Dexter, Dudley, Puxico, all dealing with some damaging wind, some actual wind damage in those areas. As far as this tornado warning is concerned, again, it's really more the possibility of a little brief spin up coming into Wickliffe right now, and that threat would continue up into the southern part of Ballard County, kind of south of Highway 60, in between 60 and 62 there. But the big concern right now is this pocket of very strong, possibly damaging and destructive winds that's here in Mississippi County. Some of these wind speeds, you see this pocket of blue here around East Prairie, reading out at 90 miles per hour. Some of the blues out ahead of that, about 66 miles per hour. Now keep in mind, this is the radar scanning at a height of still about 1,000 feet, but we're getting close to the actual radar site here in Wickliffe right now. Very possibly 75 to 80 mile per hour winds coming into town at the moment. And this is going to be moving northeast again at about 70 miles per hour. So the latest track on where these storms are headed next, we've got potentially widespread damaging winds coming into western Kentucky now between 8 and 8:30, moving right up toward the lakes area. So if you live pretty much anywhere here in western Kentucky, we want to take this severe thunderstorm warning seriously. This is not your average severe thunderstorm warning. These are storms that mean business and have had a history of producing some very destructive winds back across southeast Missouri. The possibility for some pockets of hurricane-force winds exist with this line of storms. So currently we're seeing that strongest area of wind from Cairo to Wickliffe, stretching back toward the New Madrid area, and again, moving off to the east-northeast at about 70 to 75 miles per hour. So that is going to put these storms in the following locations here. All right, so La Center, we've got about 8 to 9 minutes before these storms roll into town for you guys. Clinton already seeing some strong winds, 8:03, Paducah at 8:14, Murray at 8:36, and Princeton at 8:48. Thank you, Nolan. Sorry. And then we have new severe thunderstorm warnings here in northwest Tennessee. We'll get you that information in just a second. But right now, if you are in Wickliffe, and if you happen to be watching on Facebook Live right now, if you're in Wickliffe, if you can safely, we want you to, number one, you need to be taking shelter right now. Again, as we always remind you, basement, a hallway, a closet, somewhere that's away from windows and the lowest level, middle of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside. Even if you're just within the severe thunderstorm warning, we need to be taking shelter here. And again, obviously, folks that are out at the campgrounds and the lakes, we've been talking about this now for a bit. 8:15 to 8:30 arrival times. Really need to get someplace substantial, if at all possible, for shelter. These storms are not going to be safe for folks that are out at the lake and in lightweight campers out there. But again, if you're in Wickliffe right now, if you have the ability, if you're watching on Facebook Live, kind of give us an idea of what the winds, conditions look like there. Drop a quick comment there. And again, there is the potential. Right now, I'm seeing winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour on the radar data here. Let's go down here, and there's a little pocket of wind that's really just kind of ramped up in southern Ballard County, and I'll show you here what I'm talking about. Coming through Wickliffe, and again, we're getting really close to the radar site now, so once you get closer to the Paducah radar site, we're seeing better sampling, actually what's going on at the ground with this. And right here, in between Wickliffe and New York, this pocket of white and blue, likely 70 mile per hour winds that are coming into the Blandville area, New York. That's going to be crossing 802 and Highway 286 coming up here into the eastern part of Ballard County. And this is moving fast, moving highway speeds 75 miles per hour. So it's not going to be long until these are in McCracken County. So let me put this into motion. You kind of see how these storms have been progressing over the last hour or so and where that pocket of the strongest winds is moving. So you see that coming up here out of Missouri across Ballard. So if you follow that up, it's probably going to come right up 286. And if we continue on this line here in about 20 minutes, those very strong winds possibly plowing right across McCracken County. So if you're in Lone Oak, Melbourne, Paducah area, if you've got vehicles you can get pulled inside, let's do that. There might be a hail threat here, and we've got folks that are possibly heading off to church here in just a little bit. Let's stay tuned to the TV, and we do not want folks headed out on the roads. If we can wait just a little bit, by 8:30, 9 o'clock, these storms are going to start to move east pretty quickly. But the next 30 minutes, we've got a high potential for some possibly damaging winds over parts of western Kentucky, specifically right now, the worst of it here in Ballard County. Other areas that are seeing storms at the moment, we want to make sure that we kind of go back out, and we've got multiple areas down in Tennessee that we need to cover as well. So let's head there and give you an update on those storms. That strong pocket of wind coming across the Mississippi River right now from Hickman up toward the Bardwell area. All of these shades of blue where we're seeing the possibility of winds up to or over 70 miles per hour. And we've also got these severe thunderstorms coming into Tennessee. Let's give you the information on that. I'll switch back to regular radar. The wind signature here in the Tennessee storms is not quite as impressive as the one in western Kentucky, but still these storms packing a punch, and they mean business in Tennessee as well. Severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30, and that includes parts of Dyer, Gibson, Obion, and Weakley County, Dresden, Martin, New Bern, Union City, some of the towns included in that. Wind speed 60 miles per hour. So we're not talking about quite as dramatic of a damaging wind threat. There has been more in the way of hail reported with these storms, up to a quarter-size hail, and you see the tornado possible tag. Right now, those storms coming into Union City, Troy, and Obion. Let's give you a quick track on those, and then we'll move back up to the north and continue to follow what's going on here in Ballard County. But our squall line here in Tennessee, again, moving at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. So those are going to be really racing across these areas. I don't know, I'm going to have to zoom out here. Can't get that whole track on the screen there. So bear with me here for just a second. And again, these storms, we have had reports of widespread damaging winds across a portion of northwest Tennessee, or I'm sorry, southeast Missouri, including the Dexter, New Madrid, and Sikeston areas. So the kind of the southern flank of this line, moving off to the east, southeast at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. Some of the towns here as this moves right along the state line, going to include Union City. It's pretty much there right now. Martin at about 8:10, Murray at 8:30, Paris at 8:39, and Dover at around 8:55 here this morning. Nolan, you seen anything new over there on your end?
Other than about 5 minutes ago, 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts over in Bardwell. Looking over at the correlation coefficient, or where we look at for the debris, toward the southeast of Barlow, there's like a tiny green dropout. I'm not sure if it's exactly something on the ground. There was one showing up in Missouri like that earlier, and it went away in the next frame.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if it could be a brief spin up along the line that we've been advertising that could happen with this line, or if it's just debris getting kicked up by the damaging straight line winds.
Yeah, I kind of see a couple of little pockets there. One of those south of the center, another close to the Cairo area. where we have some pretty, certainly some pretty nasty winds. Farther south, down toward Tiptonville, Hickman, just wanted to make mention there. The storm in Obion County, still seeing a hail signature on that, probably no more than quarter-size hail. But the main event getting ready to come in here to western Kentucky. And here's the thing, if you're in Reedland or Mayfield or Wingo right now, you're getting thunder and lightning, but the wind threat trails that just a little bit. So the wind is going to be kind of falling. Now, I am seeing a little bit here because we've got rain out ahead. I think it's kind of starting to stabilize things out ahead and cut off the worst of those winds. Let me put the velocity back on. You can kind of see there has been a little bit of a weakening trend here as these storms move closer to western Kentucky. So let me loop that here. Notice how those bright blues that were showing up toward Dexter kind of fading just a little bit here as I move toward the Mississippi River. One of the things we're seeing is it's getting closer to the radar site. So instead of scanning really high up, we're getting closer to the ground. But because of the interaction of the storms out ahead, we're possibly seeing those storms become a little less organized here within the Bow Echo part of that. Let's stop this. We'll go back down and analyze what's going on right now here in Ballard. And again, there is some, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for these storms here in portions of southern Illinois as well. Right now, the threat does not appear to be quite as high in southern Illinois as it does here in western Kentucky. And specifically, the winds coming through Ballard County appear to be the most concerning part of this storm right now. And reminder, we do have a tornado warning that's in effect until 8:15 for Ballard County. Again, this is a radar indicated area of rotation and includes Barlow, Kevel, La Center, Wickliffe, and New York and Gage, some of those communities. New sweep of the radar, and again, that little pocket of blue not showing up there, which is hopefully some good news. But let me show you this little, I'm not sure if it'll show up here or not. Possibly an indication of a little bit of high wind. You see here around Cairo, this little blip of yellow and orange, and the one was south of La Center and Barlow not showing up here on radar currently. But some indications that there may be some damage or some debris rather being picked up on the radar there. Go off, give a quick check here from the chat. Again, multiple trees and power lines down in portions of southeast Missouri. Possibly some damage reported around the Sykeston area, trees down, and possibly some damage to some buildings. Rain picking up here in the Paducah area, and the strongest of the winds getting ready to move across the Ballard and McCracken County line right now. However, as we get closer to the radar site here, we are noticing some of those estimated wind speeds coming down just a little bit. Still some 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts in that area here of Ballard County. You see our tornado warning trimmed back a little bit, back toward Wickliffe. We're now in the all clear. That warning basically La Center over toward Kevel at the moment, and that is out of.
They've also reduced the speed on that to 60.
Okay, so yeah, forward speed slowing down here to 60 miles per hour. And let's go back over to our radar. I'm going to turn the lightning on to see what that has looked like. Sometimes lightning can give you a bit of an indication on
how these storms are looking as far as their strength. And you see with the part of the storm that's been producing wind damage, actually haven't had just a ton of lightning, a lot of lightning right now out from Paducah over toward Calvert City and Simpsonia. The storms right now that are moving across the Paducah area and Simpsonia, that's actually not what the warning is for. The warning is for this area back in Ballard and Carlisle County that has that strong core of wind moving off to the east. That is what the warning is actually for, and where we find the strongest wind speeds with this. Kind of zoom this out just a little bit, and again, we don't want to forget about our folks here in Northwest Tennessee as well, and in Southern Illinois. So right now, the worst of the wind is in Western Kentucky. Something to watch here, there's a little secondary bow that's developing back here from Union City to Clinton, so some strong winds may be heading into southern sections of Graves County as well. We'll have to watch that real close between Clinton and Wingo. Let's see if the velocity data reflects an uptick in the winds with that. Yeah, there is some stronger wind now showing up here down in Hickman and Fulton County. So as that moves to the east, over toward Mayfield and Wingo, may see some stronger winds actually here as these storms kind of evolve. That bow echo is showing up a little more substantial in those areas. Some 63, 66 mile per hour winds that are being scanned here. That's going to be a little bit off the surface. You get down toward those areas, and we're talking about the radar scanning at about 1,500 to 2,000 feet. Just checking through some of the Facebook comments here. If anyone has any damage reports to pass along, let us know about that. The best way to pass along your reports is to go to your WPSD. If you have photos, go to your WPSD News app and click the drop-down menu, select Weather Window, and upload your photo there. You can also email newstip@WPSDlocal6.com, and you can also just share it directly to our Facebook fan pages, Trent Okerson, WPSD Local 6. You can share that to meteorologist Nolan Kane as well if you have any reports. We don't want you getting out in the storm to take photos. Let the storm pass by, and then let us know what was going on at your location. So here in Western Kentucky, our strongest winds right now actually look to be here in parts of Hickman and Fulton County. Our storms that are coming across the Ballard-McCracken County line showing some signs of weakening. We've got a little pocket of some strong winds here right along the Massac and Pope County line. Also watching up here toward Anna, just south, there's a little weak spot of rotation that we might be seeing here. We'll keep an eye on that. Right now, it looks like the winds are a little weaker in that portion of the storm. But for those of us in McCracken County, the storm, the stronger winds rolling across here in the next 10 minutes or so, we still have our tornado warning that includes portions of Ballard County, including La Center and Kevel. Still a little flash of some strong winds, probably up to 60 miles per hour south of La Center. That's going to be moving right near Kevel, and then right out toward the airport. We'll come up Highway 60 and likely across the center of McCracken County between now and about 8:20 this morning. Then moving on down to the south, strongest winds have come to an end for us in Wickliffe. Things will be quieting down for you guys there. Here in Hickman and up to the west of Clinton, that's where we're seeing some of those stronger winds. Anywhere you see the shades of blue here, we're talking about at least 60 mile per hour winds in that area. Now, new radar update here. Now, this is interesting. We've got an area that just popped up north of Fulgham of some enhanced winds here. That may be a sign of a little spin up trying to get going.
And judging by the radar data on weather too, there is a small inflow notch where that spike of wind is.
Let's pop that debris tracker up and see if there's anything that shows up here.